Jamie, looking towards it then, of course, last Tuesday, wasn't it? In fact, before last show came out,
Yes, it was.
Haas unveiled their 2023 livery.
In the classic show timing, something major happened between the point of recording and the point of the show coming out. So
to be fair, we did know this one.
Yeah, we did see it coming. But the Haas did indeed come out on Tuesday, and it was slightly underwhelming on the most part. It kind of, we kind of hype up livery reveals, but then they're always, especially like the Haas and the Red Bull, etc. They're all just either on models or they're on last year's cars, so you can't really look too much into it until we get into testing and into the first race in Bahrain. But I quite like the livery. Going to put it out there straight away. I do think it's an improvement on last year.
Quite like the livery. There's a couple of things that annoy me on it. But I think for the most part, I think we've kind of accepted now, haven't we, in modern day Formula 1, that we are pre-season, like obviously it is just livery revealed nowadays rather than car reveals anymore. So I think obviously now we're kind of just expecting that in the future. But of course, Haas, they've got their new title sponsor in MoneyGram ready for 2023. So it has actually a little bit of foreshadowing. Unlike the other two teams we're going to discuss, there is actually a bit of a change up on their livery at least. But I quite like it. The one thing, Jamie, that really, really annoys me about this 2023 livery on the Haas is the fact that the MoneyGram logos on the engine cover, because MoneyGram refused to have their logo mirrored on one side, just looks like it's spinning around in a circle, which is rather annoying.
The top down is a tribute to former driver Nikita Mazepin. So
yes,
which I've completely stolen that from Reddit, so thank you very much for that. But yes, the MoneyGram logo, it's a bit big and bulky for me. It's just a bit weird that Palm Angels is on the side as well. But in terms of what the designers of delivery can do, obviously they're a bit limited by the sponsorship obligations. But in terms of everything they can control, I think they've done a good job. And I do quite like the predominantly black. It looks like a Haas, but it looks like a nicer Haas than it was last year.
Yes, yeah, and I think, to be honest, a lot of people have been saying this is their second best livery behind the Rich Energy one.
Nah.
I reckon it might be better.
I don't like that one. I got bad memories of racing with you for a season of AOR in that Haas. So,
Did we?
Yeah. Don't you remember?
Oh, F3, yes, I do remember. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. I honestly couldn't remember that we were in the Haas.
Yeah, terrible livery. But
fair enough.
No, this one I do prefer. I much prefer this one, to be fair.
So are we saying it then? Best Haas livery?
I'm a fan of the 2017 with the shark fin, to be fair.
Yeah, I quite like the 2016 car as well, to be completely honest.
The original. Yeah, I would have to go and look at them, but it's certainly up there, I would say.
So, out of 10 then, Jamie, we're going to be trying to keep a ranking board of deliveries ready for 2023. Now, I feel like, again, some of these are going to get quite skewed because I feel like we're going to rank cars that haven't really changed lower. But we'll start it out. Out of 10, Jamie, what are we rating the Haas car?
Oh, see, this time last year, I just gave everything a 6 or an 8, basically, depending on if I liked it or I didn't like it. So I'm going to give it a 6.5.
Okay, I was going to actually rock a 7.5 or an 8, to be completely honest.
I don't want to go too high because I feel like there are going to be ones that I like more, but it's certainly an inoffensive addition to the grid.
Yes, yeah. And looking obviously towards 2023 there for Haas, like we said, this is meant to be a bit of a season preview show even. Sorry, I should say.
It's not started yet.
Tribute show, yeah, exactly. Obviously, 2022 was kind of make or break, wasn't it, for Haas? I know we discussed this prior to last year, and we sort of said, if that car didn't live up to the expectation and they were still right towards the back, then it was probably down and out for Haas. They didn't do amazingly well last year. 8th place overall, wasn't it, in the Constructors come the end of the campaign. However, it felt like there were a lot of positive moments. Of course, the most notable probably being that pole position that they got in Brazil.
Yeah, insane to be fair. And just the competitiveness of the car all round off the back of 2021, which was a really, really bad year for Haas. They basically admitted they wrote the car off from the first race onwards. They've stabilised the ship. They've got a car last year that was competitive for points on occasion, which when you're battling the likes of, massive car companies like McLaren, like effectively Renault through Alpine and Aston Martin, you're going to struggle to get much beyond being competitive for points as an independent, to be fair. So
Yeah.
I think with kind of low expectations that they probably have, that is kind of where they're at, which I think is fine. Like, they're not a super team unless they get a super, like, massive takeover in the future. They're always going to be kind of on the periphery of points, while the likes of Alpine, McLaren, Aston Martin, all of those kind of teams who are around, they're going to struggle without major backing to really progress into them.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think it's always a bit difficult as well, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people as well, Haas are one of those weird teams, aren't they? Where we always remember the brilliant results. Like Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, obviously Kevin Magnussen was absolutely on it. But we kind of also forget just how many weekends a year that Haas can be just completely in the middle of nowhere. And there were a few occasions last year where they were really down sort of level with Williams, wasn't it? Which I'm sure is not what they wanted. But as you mentioned, it was a very good point. They are really, I mean, it's them and Williams now that really are the privateer teams.
Yeah. And ultimately in F1, the money makes a lot of difference. Obviously, you need capable engineers and good personnel in the team, but money really results in all of those things coming if you manage well. So
money makes the world go round.
Well, apparently, especially in Formula 1, that's true. So yeah, that it is kind of, you do kind of have low expectations for these teams like Williams and Haas, and that's why those special moments such as the pole position or the 5th place in Bahrain, they're really special for a team like Haas and Williams and those kind of teams. So it is a difficult time for privateers in terms of overall success, but you kind of live for those moments like what they had in Brazil last year.
Yes, exactly. And I think, as we look towards 2023 though, Jamie, do we think that Haas can go better than last year? Do we think they can finish above 8th?
It's kind of, who are they beating? You're relying on someone above them really dropping off.
Yeah.
If I was putting money on it,
those teams dropping off badly,
I'm not sure. If I was putting money on it, I'd put them in the same place, to be honest, in 8th place.
Okay. I was going to go one worse. I think AlphaTauri next year will probably get their act together a bit more.
Well, AlphaTauri should have been ahead of Haas last year based on car pace, but they just weren't.
Yes, exactly. A lot of missed opportunities for AlphaTauri as well, wasn't it? So Haas were lucky, because I think it's weird, isn't it? 9th would have looked a lot worse than 8th for Haas come the end of last year. So I think they were quite lucky that they were able to sort of hang on to that come the end of the year. Of course, Haas as well, though, keeping Kevin Magnussen again back for a second year, for a second time. He's now obviously teamed up with Nico Hülkenberg, ready for 2023.
The man, I should say.
I feel like we might have differing results here, but which of these drivers, I don't even know why I'm asking the question.
Why are you asking?
I know what you're going to say. Why do you believe that Nico Hülkenberg is going to win out in 2023 is probably a more suitable question.
I think he will take a little bit of time to get the rust off, but he will hit the ground mid-season. I think he'll just start smashing it, and I think in terms of drivability, I just do think Hülkenberg is better than Magnussen, as a fact. And we saw as he stepped in the Racing Point in 2020 that he was able to really deliver very strong results, and he was limited a lot by the physicality. Against Lance Stroll, but respect to Stroll and disrespect to Magnussen, I would probably rate those two, Stroll and Magnussen, as similar-ish as ability of level drivers. So I do think that Hülkenberg will win out this, and especially obviously he's a bit older now than he was last time he was in full-time F1, but he went toe-to-toe with Ricciardo a season after beating Sainz in his last 2 full seasons, and those two are very, well, at the time, very credible drivers. So I do think Hülkenberg will beat out Magnussen over the course of the year.
Okay, fair enough. I think it's going to be very close between them both. I think, like we said, Magnussen, I feel like, again, the way Haas just build their cars suits the start of the year. Obviously, just the tracks that are at the start of the campaign. So I feel like Magnussen might be able to hit the ground running again in 2023. It'll build up a little bit of advantage. Obviously, like we said, Hulk gets the rust off. But I think that come the end of the year, Magnussen will just about win out. But it'll be very, very few points in it. But of course, Haas, I don't think are going to be scoring many points. So it'll still be enough to get the job done.
It's the sort of thing where one major result can really swing it.
Yes, exactly. It might sort of completely change the way we sort of view that driver pairing. One bold prediction then, Jamie, for Haas in 2023.
I feel like I've got to, as a Hulkenberg fan for many years.
You're not going to say it.
I've got
to say it.
I've got to say it. Hulkenberg on the podium, 2023. Here we go.
You reckon the Haas are going to get their first ever podium, and it's going to be Hulk's first ever podium?
Indeed, I am saying that, and it's probably
you are a
heart over head. And if I had money, I would not put it on this, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Fair enough. Jamie, you are not as wise as I once thought. This is meant to be Knowing Wheel, not Hoping Wheel.
We can, Hopeful Wheel is a new name.
I'm trying to think what I sort of think Haas bold prediction will be. I don't see a world where they get another pole, I suppose. I'm trying to think of a bold prediction for Haas. They won't win a race. Not ridiculous. You know what? I'm going to say it. Magnussen's going to get a podium.
Fair.
Let's go with it.
So we're both raising our expectations hugely for one of the drivers.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. One driver, but it's going to be Magnussen, is going to get a podium in that Haas in 2023.